Looking back at history, we realize that the true strength of the Japanese lies not in the extraordinary, but in the small, persistent, and purposeful habits. These 8 habits are like 8 mirrors reflecting a familiar truth that few people live by. Sustainable change always begins with subtlety in every small choice made each day. They don't require talent, they don't need luck, only presence and persistence. And it is that silent persistence that shapes an entire lifetime. The deepest lesson for us is, just choose one small habit to start and maintain it long enough, and you will change deeper than you think. Slow down a bit, be a bit kinder, and bravely face your own cracks. Life will unfold in a completely different way. Today, I will take you into the world of 8 habits, the smallest, lightest, and simplest, yet powerful enough to change the way you live, the way you see life, and the way you see yourself. This is not a story about quick change. This is a story about real change. One Kaizen progressing 1% every day. It's a truth few people dare to face. Most of us want to change, but we always choose methods that make us give up quickly. We set big goals and make big promises, struggle for a few days, and then fall back to the starting line. It's not because we are weak, but because humans were not born to take huge leaps. We were born to advance in small, steady, and persistent steps. And that is why Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of 1% continuous improvement, becomes the simplest yet deepest path to overcome the procrastination that holds many lives captive. Kaizen doesn't demand you change your life overnight. It only asks you to start with the smallest thing possible. One push-up, one page of a book, one small adjustment to your work style, a change so small you cannot find an excuse to avoid it. The mechanism of Kaizen lies not in the effort, but in psychological inertia. When you start something easy, you are likely to continue with something harder. And one day you no longer need to force yourself to move forward. You become the person who refuses to stand still. When small steps are repeated long enough, you change not only your behavior, but your very nature. But changing behavior isn't enough. Humans need something stronger to get up every morning, a reason to live. Ikigai is not a grand objective, nor is it the blazing passion that modern advice often champions. It is what makes your heart feel peaceful when you think about it. Something you do without being asked, a value you feel you belong to, a joy small enough to maintain every day, yet large enough to make you live fully. Ikigai appears at the intersection of 4 questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need from you? And what can you be paid for? When these 4 lines intersect, you no longer feel like you are chasing life. You walk with it, lightly, naturally, and full of vitality. If Kaizen is the flywheel that helps you move forward little by little, then Ikigai is the flame that keeps you from giving up halfway. A tireless spirit of advancement combined with a clear purpose for living, that is the foundation for an ordinary person to become the best version of themselves. That is the second path the Japanese choose to build their lives, transforming themselves through silent, persistent, incremental steps. Hara Hachi Bu. Sustained health from within, amidst the hurried pace of modern life, where people often chase exhausting goals rather than living authentically, the Japanese find strength in moderation and listening to the body. They understand that the body is not a machine to be forced by willpower, but a sensitive organism that constantly sends us small signals we have long forgotten to hear. And in 2 of the seemingly simplest habits, Hara Hachi Bu and Shinrin-yoku, lie the secrets that help them stay healthy, resilient, and surprisingly long-lived. Hara Hachi Bu, the 80% full rule. The principle of eating until you are 80% full is more than just dietary advice. It is a profound lesson in mindfulness. People often eat to satisfy emotions, fill voids, combat boredom, or indulge in temporary pleasure. But the Japanese choose to stop before the craving is fully satisfied. That moment of stopping is a small victory of will over instinct, a conversation with the body. Enough. No more is needed. This moderation protects them from heaviness, inflammation, and modern diseases caused by uncontrolled eating habits. Shinrin-yoku is not just walking in nature for exercise. It is a journey back to the most original state of being human, connection with the earth and sky. Amidst the sound of the wind through the leaves, the faint scent of damp earth rising, and the light filtering through the branches. The body is returned to the natural rhythm it lost in the city's noise. In that moment, the nervous system relaxes, breathing becomes deeper, and the mind settles. And sometimes you realize that it has been too long since you had a minute to truly breathe. WABISABI, the beauty of imperfection, teaches us to view life with more tolerance. In a world that constantly demands perfection, the Japanese find beauty in scratches, uneven colors, things that are unfinished and incomplete. An old wooden table, a flower gradually fading with time, or the traces of aging on a face, all carry a very human beauty. When we accept that everything in the world is temporary and constantly changing, we become lighter, less stubborn, and stop tormenting ourselves with non-existent standards. GAMAN, silent perseverance, is a completely different kind of strength. It is neither suppressing emotions nor pretending to be stronger than necessary. GAMAN is perseverance in silence, the ability to endure challenges without letting them consume you. It is the moment you stand in the midst of a storm, but refuse to be swept away. It is the attitude of not complaining, not blaming, and not placing yourself in the victim role. OMOYARI, thoughtful concern, is the glue that connects people. It is subtlety in action, the act of thinking of others before they even speak. A quieter sound so as not to bother anyone. A bow to show respect, an act of cleaning up so as not to burden the next person. When you live with Omoyari, you not only lighten the journey of others, but your own heart also becomes more open and gentle. These three habits, acceptance, patience, and empathy, are the pillars that help the Japanese spirit stand firm. KINTSUGI, the art of mending with gold. No one walks through this life without carrying some cracks. Some are cracked by emotional pain, some are broken by failure, and some are fractured by things they cannot share with anyone. We often learn to hide these wounds, hidden beneath a smile, beneath false strength, beneath a repetitive, loud facade. Yet the Japanese choose a completely different path. They don't hide the imperfections. They do the opposite. They celebrate them. This is embodied in the philosophy of Kintsugi, the art of mending with gold. Kintsugi is not just a technique for repairing pottery, it is a philosophy of life. When a bowl falls and shatters into small pieces, they don't discard it, nor do they try to patch it up to hide the cracks. They use gold to fill those fracture lines, turning the wound into a part of the beauty. A broken object, after being repaired with gold, becomes more special than any perfect version before it because it carries within itself a story of endurance, breakage, and rebirth. Humans are the same. We are not beautiful because we are whole. We are beautiful because we have gone through things that changed us. The falls do not make us worse. They awaken a strength we never knew. The injuries do not destroy us. They open up realms of self-understanding we couldn't access when life was simple. The cracks in your life, when viewed through the eyes of Kintsugi, are not something to hide, but something to shine, because they are the evidence that you have lived, felt, hurt, and ultimately found a way to return to life with your own unique beauty. Looking back at the entire journey, we realize that the true strength of the Japanese lies not in the extraordinary, but in the small, persistent, and purposeful habits. These 8 habits are like 8 mirrors reflecting a familiar truth that few people live by. Sustainable change always begins with subtlety in every small choice made each day. They don't require talent, they don't need luck, only presence and persistence. And it is that silent persistence that shapes an entire lifetime. Slow down a bit, be a bit kinder, and bravely face your own cracks. Life will unfold in a completely different way.